Hi, it's NonGone, and today we're learning to do some stuff. We're going to fix the brakes, pads, and rotors on a 2005 Corolla. So I said it before, and I'm going to say it again right now. Working on cars is the single most valuable skill I've ever learned in my life, more valuable even than my college degree. Not only does it save you money not having to go to a mechanic, but it also allows you to buy older cars and keep them on the road for longer when other people would be turning them in for the maintenance costs. Over the 30 years that I've been driving, that's like a $300,000 benefit. So very, very valuable. The trade-off, of course, is that a few weekends out of the year, and you won't know which ones they are, you got to spend on your back in the driveway, up to your elbows in grease. But to me, that's a fair price to pay. This job's would be about $350 to $400, I think, at a shop. And we're going to get the parts on Rock Auto for about $79.95. So we're going to save like $300, and this will take an hour or two. So first step is getting the tire off. You should have in your trunk a spare tire with a jack and a tire iron. If you don't have that, store-bought is fine. I've got a hydraulic jack that works better. Go ahead and first step is break all 5 of these lug nuts. So loosen them up, and then you can start jacking the car up. Make sure you use the parking brake if you're taking the front end up. Make sure you chock your wheels. So put some blocks or bricks behind it in front of them so they don't move as you jack up the car. And then also make sure you have jack stands. These are about 20 bucks and will save your life. Getting crushed by a car is pretty deadly. It's about 3,000 pounds. And if it lands on your chest or your head, the ambulance is leaving your driveway without the sirens on, if you know what I mean. So, but once you get the car jacked up, just go ahead and take all 5 lug nuts off. You should be able to remove the tire. Now, this part's going to be a little different depending on what kind of vehicle you got, but the principles are all the same. You can see the rotor here. You can run your finger along it and you feel the ridges like a vinyl record. That means the rotor is scored and needs to be replaced. Then you've got the caliper, which has various configurations. On this one, there are 2 bolts up here that can be taken off, and that will remove the actual cylinder hydraulic part. And then the pads are held in place with this bracket here, which is 2 more bigger bolts. You need to take those bolts off to replace the rotor anyway, so that's what we're doing next. Once that's all apart, you can remove your rotor. If this has been a while, you may have to pound on it to get it to break. It'll be a little rusted on there. So, you know, you may have to persuade it a little bit, but there's nothing else holding it on. And then you can just slide the old brake pads out. You see this one was the back one. This was why the grinding and the nasty, nasty grinding sound that was happening. You can see this had worn at an angle and was completely destroyed. Then we've got a bracket here that we can remove. My kit came with the hardware, so it's just a simple matter now. I've replaced these, slide the pads back on like this, put the rotor on where the old rotor was, and then put the bracket back on like that. You have one last step, which is important. You will need a C-clamp for this. You just want to pop the hood and look for a thing with some brake lines. There are these little thin metal lines going in, coming out, and a cap on top. That's called the master cylinder. And go ahead and take the lid off of this, and then get your C-clamp out and start compressing this little cylinder right here. Just turn it, turn it, turn it, and that should shrink that cylinder back into the little cylinder cavity there. Once that's all the way back in, you can put the cap back on the master cylinder, slide your bracket back over your new brake pads, and then reconnect everything the way you did, and you should be good to go. Once that's done, you have one last very important step, which is the test drive. Make sure you drive it around the block so that your car breaks down near your house instead of 30 miles down the road or something like that. In this case, since my niece was great enough to want to learn how to do this stuff and help me, I decided to treat her to some ice cream. So we ran up to Dairy Queen to get some blizzards. And I'm really glad we did, because on the way, the pads started smoking and stinking and making all kinds of stuff. There was no noise, which is good. But yeah, it was definitely that. A little bit of Google turned out that they had coated the rotors in oil to keep it from rusting. And that was just the oil burning off and some of the polymerization. So as it turned out, that was perfectly normal and everything was fine. So there you have it, fixing a car NonGone style. We took the car from sounding like this to smiles and happiness. No problems at all. Thanks again to my niece for taking an interest and learning how to do stuff with me. Thanks to all of you that are watching this. I'm always open to suggestion. Leave me a suggestion in the comment. I'll learn anything. Thanks for watching. And until the next time, stay bad, people. NonGone is gone.